Welcome to Deep Thought. Questions open our minds. I'm going to tell you what. Best way to open your mind is to ask a question. This is the most biggest, simple way. Ask a question. Let me tell a story. I remember now, people know me for talking about relationships and some of the deeper aspects. But it was a question that really got me on the path that I'm on now as far as the relationships and consequently other stuff. I wanted to know about people who had natural sex appeal in the sense they could attract others, and it wasn't necessarily based on their physical beauty. It was just something about them, that it factor. And the path that it took and going on the path to answer those questions brought me to this point. It's throughout all of my work. It's even my works of fiction. My videos, my podcast. It's touched a lot, and it's touched different people. But it was that one question that really started me on the path. It was like, what is it about people who have natural sex appeal? Or what is it that gives it to them? And I remember interviewing people and looking at different studies when I could find them. It was tough to find. But then I was able to meet someone who was really able to answer the questions. And then that took me on an even deeper path. And that's the thing with anybody. See, when you answer a question, when you have the question, you obviously want the answer, but the answer isn't always right there. So what do you have to do? You have to think. You have to search for it. You ever have that one thing you want to know? You get obsessed about it. You start checking. You start looking at stuff, listening to different people. When you can, you will even pay to go to a seminar, a live seminar with that person. You get the books and everything, and then you start thinking. And then it actually expands because, of course, with anything, there's always an opposing view. But, someone who really wants to learn something, a true to the game researcher, somebody who seriously wants to answer that question, they're going to look at that too. They are going to look at that too. They're going to look at everything. And, and it's like as you doing that, it's opening up your mind more. It's giving you stuff to think about more. And it all started from a simple question. And the question could be very tiny. It could be, you could be driving. Say you driving someplace and you're in an area you're not familiar with. And you say, I wonder what's down this way. And then you might think it's like, oh, it's just some casual thing. But what if you drive down that way and you see a house, like a nice house, something about that house. It was like it's touching your spirit, and you feel like, you know what, I want to be in that house. Now, someone will say, well, how would that open your mind? Well, first of all, you've already said you want to be in that house, or at least something very similar. But you looking at it, okay, this is a mansion. This a mansion. How you going to be in that house? You, at the moment, you just starting some job making minimum wage. Once your mind takes hold of that, right? Once your mind takes hold of that, all of a sudden, your mind will start coming up with ways and seeing things in order to get the money to get that mansion. Now, it could take years, but it can happen. Till one day you sitting in a similar mansion, or indeed even that particular one that you had saw. And you say, well, how's that an example of opening your mind? It's not even so much getting a thing. It's not even so much as, thinking about the house itself. It was just that question that you had one day when you casually driving. What's down this way? And it opened you up to a whole new world. Think about it. Or how does this type of food taste? It could open you up to some food that's not just pleasurable to eat, but some food that's actually healthy for you. Whenever you answer that question and you want the answer, it opens you up. It opens your mind. And like I said, it could be something small, but it could lead something tiny. It can lead to something bigger. I mean, I've had that so many times, so many times. I say, I wonder if I call, like I've gotten jobs in the past, with my 1,000 jobs. And this was like a temp job that really led to me being in the government. I said, I wonder if I call this number right now. If I call this number right now and I happen to catch somebody just at the right time. And it led me to something bigger and bigger. Like I said, it could be a small question, but it opens us up when we want the answer. Like with the job thing, I wanted to know, okay, if I call these people up now, my question was, if I call them up now, will they pick up and help me? And it led me to so much more. What if I didn't have that question? What if I saw that ad and didn't think to question it? Now, that's not to say I wouldn't have did some other stuff, because as I said in a previous podcast, I had some other talent. But, at that time, at that moment, I still needed money. I still needed money. And actually, even on the jobs I had, that's actually helped out. That actually helps out with what I do now. A lot of stuff I talk about, I've experienced. And that particular job that I got just by making that phone call right there at that moment led me to so much information that I'll just say I incorporated without calling names, because I end up being in a job, some jobs that were quite confidential, like I could get locked up if I share precise details. But it gave me an insight on so many things, But it came about. It was the question. Question. Don't be afraid to question. Don't be afraid to question. Don't be afraid to question a person. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Even though it might seem dumb, you never know. I remember getting back to that thing about looking for people with natural sex appeal. Now, for those who know, I always talk about Master Yao. That's when I met him. And he had given a presentation for this public access TV show. I was in the audience. I remember walking up to him and I said, hey, do you know anything about people who have natural sex appeal? And I really expected him. Honestly expected him just to say, whatever, but just let me. He was a good guy, so I was like, let me down gently. He's like, oh, no, it's in my book. You look here, blah, 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 this pages and this pages. I was like, okay. And I remember just going, I didn't even have money. I went to a money machine, got some money out to give to him. And the power there, that's one of my most read and underlined books. So, and like I said, it led to other things. So questions open your mind. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask the question and then look for the answer. And it might take a while. It could take a while. Because even that thing about natural sex appeal, that was a question I had. It took me 2 years to find an answer. And then the answer led me to even bigger stuff. So don't be afraid to ask the question and to look for the answer, all right? Because it opens your mind. So anyway, y'all, that's all I have for now. I want y'all to keep rising. Peace and blessings.